welcome to this great seminar. It's going to be, I'm sure, very useful for all of us. Uh, we are going to start with getting to the top phat. Now, how do we get to the top phat? We have to get to the top phat just like the coronavirus is getting to the top phat. But
oh my God, that's not such a great thing to say. We should be in trouble.
But yes, we could be in trouble. But yes, we need to find the ways how to fight this. In this difficult times, many firsts we have seen in this industry. Industries have shut, businesses are uncertain, people's jobs are getting uncertain day by day. Yes, we need to be durable during this time. We need to be not sneaky and nasty as the coronavirus is. So, having said this, getting to the top phat, we will give you some good tips. We'll give you some skill. We'll give you our experiences. We'll give you how the industry is running today and what all you need to do. So I'm going to hand over to Mukesh for his short introduction to this. So,
okay. No, Abhijit, I sometimes, I sitting here, I think maybe, the choice of the topic that we've talked about right now is a little out of context in the, corona, epidemic that has hit us. The reality is that what the epidemic is here, it has created havoc in our lives. No, you look at any industry. I mean, I don't know. You look at, of course, airlines, hotels, hospitality, travel, manufacturing, construction, sales, banking. There is barely an industry that has remained unaffected. In fact, as we sit here, I can see that there are more than 100 people right now in the audience with us. If I may I ask how many people sitting here in this audience and who are in a work situation have been told by their employers that there is a pay cut that we are all staring at? If there is, those of you who are staring at a pay cut, can I ask you to put a Y? And those of you who are quite secure, feel free to put a no, put an N. Okay.
Oh, I see.
Some Y's, kind of coming up really quick and fast. And I've also got an N somewhere.
But
by and
mostly
large,
Ys.
we have a large number of Y's coming in here.
Yeah, large number of Ys. Yes.
In fact, okay, let me go a little further. Okay, businesses, beginning to open out again, and the government has allowed, many organizations to start working. How many of us, I have a second question for this audience, are really somewhat apprehensive that maybe, we're not very sure whether our job will be with us or not in the next 3 months as soon as we go back. So how many people are apprehensive about perhaps even losing a job, and which is one step further than the pay cut? So if you are apprehensive, put an A. And if you're not apprehensive, put a B.
Oh, again, lots of A's.
Lots of A's, a few B's also.
Yeah, but mostly A's, I can see.
Okay, so
all A's, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a fairly grim position.
Yeah, but in this grim position, I was reading this morning something very funny as an anecdote from our own Shashi Tharoor of the Congress Party. He's a witty guy.
Hey, be careful, huh? I hope you understand what he's saying, huh? Because his choice of words sometimes goes over my head.
But his difficult in this difficult situations, he had some, the way he's looked at disclosures happening, he had a funny tinge to it. Like, for example, the Heinz sauce factory, we all consume Heinz sauce. It's one of the tastiest sauces in the market. He says it has been canned as they couldn't catch up with the orders.
I see.
Or the construction company, for a very large construction company, he had said, the tarmac laying company has reached the end of the road. But there's a silver lining to it. And the bread company has run out of dough. So you know how witty he could get sometimes. Or in his shoe, for the shoe factory, he did say the shoe shop has had to put his foot down. So,
Okay,
so why
maybe
don't you?
one needs to smile in this kind of
Yes,
grim situation, but actually the fact
absolutely.
is, it's a pretty bad kind of tough situation. So in this
Yes.
tough situation, so what is the yarn or what is the tip that you would like to share with some of the kind of audience here? I mean, look at let me try and say, look at manufacturing. The fact is that Maruti had or the all entire auto sector had zero sales in the month of April. And the fact and when the factories are opening up, it doesn't have to. They're going to take into their hometowns. But let's say if you are happy to work in a manufacturing setup, how do you operate? What is this kind of solution that somebody can have so that he can successfully do his job? I'll tell you what, my view, okay? See, right now, if 10 people were working on manufacturing, it's quite possible 3 or 4 of them, who were working with the organization for a long time, may not be in that organization. That's the, hard reality of it. So if there are about 6 people on the line, how does he kind of operate? What is expected of him? See, if I were a manufacturer, if I were running that operation, I'd probably like to knock off the support functions. I don't know. I mean, there is maintenance.
Quality for one.
I tell the operator, listen, boss, I mean, till yesterday, if your line came to halt, you'd press the button and the chap would come from maintenance running. You better learn some maintenance yourself. Or I don't know, quality. Not that I'm saying that shoddy quality is going to be acceptable, but why can't a worker be, responsible for his own quality? So is it, who should the owner knock off? See, the fact is that, there is a paradigm shift. I think many of us want to go back to our jobs. Our jobs are going to kind of get redefined. I mean, this is just an example of manufacturing. I'm sure, Amarjit, you can share, some other perspective of some of the other, lines of work.
Yeah, sure. In the automotive industry itself, we all
Am I
see
audible
it.
to you?
Yeah, very much audible. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, loud and clear.
I can hear
Yeah,
you.
okay.
Yeah.
So in the automobile industry, as you just said, for 2 months there was no sales. But now since it started to pick up, some of the dealerships and the workshops have started to open. I too have been getting SMSs from my car, my car model, that you can actually come in and with a prior appointment or with a prior booking. So these are the changes which are happening now in the automobile industry. There is contactless engagement happening. The service advisors or the people who attend to you when you enter a workshop, they now note down your complaints 1 or 2 days prior to your coming into the workshop so that it becomes a paperless, contactless environment. The cars, they promise you, will be sanitized both before they enter the workshop, after they enter the workshop, as well as when they return back to you. So, and customers will pay not hard cash anymore. They will pay by their card or by Bheem or by Paytm, etc., whatever these digital modes are available. So, plus one more thing, the cars will be picked up largely on your doorstep and delivered to your doorstep. So you need not even go to the workshop. But this is for the automobile industry. I'm sure, Mukesh, with your experience in sales, you would have noticed the changes in sales too.
But what we are saying is, whether it's manufacturing or the auto sector, the person who's doing that job has to get new capability.
Absolutely.
Like we said, the manufacturing fellow needs to understand maintenance, he needs to understand some of quality. The service advisor needs to understand a little bit of technology, how to communicate on the phone, how to, maintain the kind of right protocol. It's not necessarily that he was technically very good, and today that's why he's the best player in the team. I take your example, what you said about retail. Okay, let's talk about sales. Yeah, I really think that coming forward, half the sales team will be have lost their job by the time this coronavirus opens up. And why do I say that? See, I was reading the other day, about a geo initiative where they're kind of, reaching out to the retail, and they're telling the retailer, boss, just place your order on this app. We'll give you a doorstep delivery. You can make a payment on your Geo Money kind of app. We can send customers to you because we have 30 crore customers, and we can kind of send them offers, and those customers will come to your retail outlet and pick it up. Actually, I don't know. So what does the salesman do? Actually, he needs to perhaps go to that retail outlet, try and explain to him, here is this app, use this app, this is how you manage your inventory, this is how you make your payment. Gone are the days of saying that, okay, here is the delivery, here's the invoice, give me the money. I don't know, money collection is right now in any case taboo. Maybe infected with corona for all I know. How on earth can I collect the money,
Yes.
So again, the salesperson probably have to relearn his job.
Absolutely.
What do you say?
Yeah, look at the school and the education industry, how teachers have learned the new jobs, new adjustments to children have adjusted to taking online classes, and they take equal part in that classes. And my own wife is a school teacher, and she's been running classes for the whole month of April.
I was attending another program also for my granddaughter who's doing an online class. Some of the classes conducted by the teachers were outstanding, and some were pathetic. Because that teacher was so used to teaching the child on the blackboard, by chalk and kind of wrote, that in the current context, she has to learn her job. She learns, I find many of teachers are struggling with the basics in terms of how do you operate Zoom, how do you do Microsoft Teams, how do I kind of get connected with the customer, with the children, how do I keep the children engrossed? The teachers better learn to change their jobs.
Yeah, so this is the new skill, I think, which they'll have to actually imbibe and learn and adapt themselves to this new learning of change, transformation, and of course, show a lot of patience and resilience in doing that.
So that is right. The fact is that, if somebody has to stay and survive, then you better relearn your job. You better relearn whatever you're doing. And that, but then by relearning, will you go to the top? Phat? What are you saying, Amarjit? Will you take him to the top?
No, I don't think so. You got to do many other things to get to the top. Phat. And some of the dhakad ways. First thing is stop complaining.
Before you get in that, seedhi baat to ye hai, if you don't do this, you lose your job.
Absolutely.
So far, what we've been talking about is actually not getting to the top, but naukri bacha le beta. You may not be in a job, you don't kind of relearn your skills. So don't think just because I've relearned this thing and that's why I will get to the top. Certainly not. So now you were going to tell me that, okay, so what do I do to get to the top? So, this is our title of our program is Phat to the top. So give us some good tips to get to the top, no?
Yeah, the first tip is, I just said it, adaptation. Now, adaptation, you got to learn fast, you got to learn the current scenario, you got to understand the current ways, you got to understand the current markets. Those of you who are in sales, you got to understand the competition, what's happening, you got to understand the current new technologies which are in force. So this will see you through your adaptation, your learning techniques will have to change, your transformation, just like the school teachers have changed, sales people have changed, manufacturing is changing, so is the automobile industry changing.
But
so what do you think?
If I may say so,
sir,
see, change is very difficult, this thing. So, if the market situation is changed, the environment is changed, what prevents people from changing? Why is it that people don't change?
I think the attitude is one. One is the attitude. The second is low morale during this period, perhaps.
Actually, I think, to change, you've got to first change within yourself.
Absolutely.
And then you will adapt to the change outside. If you yourself are not prepared to change, then there's hardly a chance that you will be able to adapt to the change.
Yeah, and one of the participants is just writing fear of failure.
That's one major factor. There's so many factors that prevent you from change, and unless you don't overcome that change from within, you are unlikely to change, and succeed, to counter what is happening in the outside. So it's a mental thing. You've got to kind of mentally change. I mean, look at the examples, examples galore. You remember there used to be a Doordarshan, old time channel.
Absolutely.
So you tell me, when was the last time you looked at Doordarshan?
Oh, I remember only the Chitrahar days and the Sunday movies.
So why did Doordarshan, perish? When this entire, TV boom, the channel boom is happening, there are 200 plus channels, and here was a channel that was kind of so dominant, and it kind of failed. What prevented that person from changing?
Yeah, they did not adapt to the new ways the customer wanted, the new ways the customer demanded, and the expectations were changing.
That is right. It's a mindset issue.
Absolutely.
In the current and then previously the change used to happen over a period of time. I mean, let's look at a model of car. Okay, the Ambassador car came. It ran for 30 years in the case. Maruti came out with the 800. It lasted for 8 years. Now look at the new model that come. Can you think of any car model that lasts for 8 years now?
No, now there's a model change. First it used to come every 2 years, then it started every year. Now you probably have 2 to 3 times model changes happening every year.
Exactly. So the speed of change is so fast. So we have to mentally kind of get prepared to address that, because if you don't do that, you're done with. You're finished. So mentally, if you want to succeed, if you're going to lead your team, you better read the change and proactively get ready for reading all the stuff that is there, and giving all the indications, and be prepared to change. Then only we'll succeed. So that's tip number 1, I would say.
So that's tip number 1, going to the top, phat. So adopt and change.
What else? What else, Amarjeet? What else?
Second tip, how many times most of us who are in the corporate culture would have walked into our boss's room or his boss's desk and would have seen him pondering over with a piece of paper, writing down something, looking at his PC, or sometimes we would see him on the whiteboard behind his desk and writing something and, saying where we are, where are we today, and of course, next thing which he was writing, how do we get to where we want to go? So,
but do you think he's watching Netflix or something like that? I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's the boss, no? Okay.
Or he
can't do that.
Or he may be on social media, we thought. But he was always strategizing. He was thinking.
So that is right. I think, you've said it so rightly. You've got to think like a boss if you want to become the boss. And what does the boss do primarily? He needs, he's worrying about, where he wants to go. What is the objective? Where is he today, like you said, and where does he want to be? So he's kind of trying to define. Of course, want to be. I mean, he's obviously doing it depending on the kind of resource that's available to him, the kind of capabilities he's got, and the market opportunities are there. Keeping that framework in mind, he's kind of taken a position of where he wants to be in the future. And then the other thing that he does is, then he has a strategy to try and get there, no?
Yes.
So actually, if any one of us wants to be the boss, got to kind of take a peep into the future, have a look at where the organization can be, and then have a strategy to get there.
Absolutely.
So that's the next tip that I would say that you like to give us. Is that right?
So so we've covered 2 tips now. First is, of course, adaptation, learning to change and be resilient, and of course change within, what you said very clearly. And the second tip, think like your boss, think about the future, think about where you want to be and how do we get there. Now,
just to stop you here. See, the thing is that many of us are not necessarily sitting in top management positions. We're not sitting in the boss's chair already. So how do we kind of take that decision of where we want to be?
Yeah, but we can give our suggestions. We can involve our colleagues.
That's right.
Yeah, we need to be proactive in thinking what's happening around us.
Correct. What is to stop us from kind of being suggestive of to the management that, listen, sir, up, ye socha. This is a way that you this thing, consider this. So it's not necessary that 100% of your suggestions might kind of happen, be acceptable, but then at least you're using your mind. And therefore, once they do get financial time. Actually, somebody's put up on the kind of chat, and I can see that you got to be entrepreneurial now. Not only see where you want to be, but also take cognizance of the risks that you're likely to face, to get there. Okay, so that's tip number 2.
So we've got one more very valuable tip. In fact, a couple more.
Okay.
What is your value add to your business? This is a big one now. How can you help your customers, both internal as well as external, in these tough times? Everybody's looking for solutions. Are you the solution provider or not? Are you giving them suggestions? Are you feeling their pain? Are you looking into their business? Do you know what your competition is doing so that you can guide your outside customer? So that is the value add. So stretch yourself to do all this.
I think well said. What you're saying is, if I may put it another way, is get what? You need to put your finger on either his pain or gain area. And if you're able to add and solve his pain or help him to gain, then you're value adding to that person's business. So if you want the thing, you've got to kind of put yourself in the other person's shoes, start thinking what is his pain and gain area, and then see what is it that you as an organization, you as a service provider can provide to handle that pain and gain. And if you are giving a solution there, then that is the thing that will kind of add value to your business as well as the other person's business.
So,
am I right?
So you're saying, Mukesh, that we need to become a consultant to all our people. Absolutely. The consultancy is what we need to become now. And that is what is going to take you. Then there's another way. I mean, one of the things which you mentioned about sales, how do you educate your customers during this time by using webinars and the digital platforms on the new products, on the new markets, on the new technologies, on the new ways of handling business, and because it's going to become a contactless business in any case.
So that's right. I think every employee. Yeah, you've well said. I endorse what you're saying completely. See, every employee, I think, if you look at a business, there is supply side. Post the
Mr. Ketchpa, your voice is fading out. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Am I audible now? More audible?
Bingo.
So what I'm saying is that there is a supply side of the business. Now there could be pain areas there. They could be the execution side of the business. There could be challenges there. There could be the reaching the end customer point of the business. There could be some kind of pain or gain areas there.
Very good.
There is, internally you could have issues with respect to people issues. I mean, people are right now fearful and apprehensive. They've got kind of challenges and anxieties of losing their jobs, of their health, of their family members. I mean, there's the other challenge in terms of technology. New technologies are coming. So the question then is, what is it that you can do, to address this for whatever level position that you are in? If you can make a contribution towards that, then perhaps you're the right material to kind of go upwards.
And phat.
Yeah, hopefully.
So I think we've covered. We've covered three good tips now. We've covered tips like adaptation, learning to change, transformations. We've covered tips like thinking like your boss. That is most important, because that's the advice you give him. You become like a consultant in your team. You've now thought about how you can value add during such times, both to your internal as well as external customers. But there is a fourth step also. If I
Okay,
may
what is
share
that?
that fourth step, you know something, we always have a tendency to work for the position we are in. We do this job
Uh-huh.
damn well. We do it very well. And we are
Right.
comfortable. We don't want to change. How about thinking about the next position? What are the skills required in the next position? Where are your eyes fixed on? What are you focusing on growth? If you want a promotion, phat, what is the next position you want to go to? That and what are the skill sets, capabilities, and abilities you need to reach that position? Do you have a hang on it? Do you know those positions? Have you talked to anybody about it? Have you consulted your peer group? Have you talked to your coaches or your mentors? So understand, do not focus on the position you have, focus on the position you want. Then it will come from within, what you said in the beginning. What says you, sir?
No, absolutely. So like you had kind of, we were discussing this earlier, and you said there were various kinds of cognitive and other kinds of behavior that are required. And the three
Mm.
behaviors that you were mentioning. Would you like to kind of refresh us with those three behaviors that you
Yeah.
indicated?
So, I was reading a wonderful report from McKinsey. They
Yeah.
had released it a couple of weeks ago during the COVID times.
Uh-huh.
They said what skills will succeed in today's world for going to the top phat are four skills.
Uh-huh.
The first one they said was adaptive
Right.
skills, which we have covered in detail already. The second one was cognitive
Uh-huh.
skills. What is cognitive? Cognitive means that you
Yeah.
are attentive to the present needs, you're attentive to the present situations, you're aware of what is happening all around you, and then you respond with responsibility. Both your response and your ability to respond should change to the current situation, but with speed. So
Right.
that is the right cognition which your boss also wants from you, your company also wants for you. And then when they start getting this from you, the road to go to the top phat is started to open up even wider for you.
Okay.
So that is
these are
one.
the
No, this
two
was one.
skills.
This,
Is there a third one also?
Yeah, there is social skills. You just touched
What do you
upon.
mean by that?
Social skills means your team handling skills, your learning skills. How do you recognize them? How do you help them and support them throughout these tough times? How do you emotionally bond with them? So those are your social handling
Okay.
skills, which
Yeah.
are equally good. So these three skills will actually, and there was a fourth one also mentioned by McKinsey, which was your emotional, which I've covered, like
Okay.
your self-control, your
No,
expressing
so-
feelings
so
with words.
what you're saying is right. I'm with you. I think that what you said, this last skill, which is the people management skill.
Yes.
You're absolutely right. You may be a brilliant fellow, but the fact is that you can't manage your team and can't motivate your team. It's unlikely you go to the top. No, you may be brilliant in your own way, but the fact is that you got to get along with people and kind of manage them and excite them and kind of josh them to do what you want to do. No, it's like you have to climb that
Absolutely.
mountain top and achieve your objective, and these people should follow you. So you should be able to have a strong people management skill. But one more thing
Absolutely.
that Amarjit, I would like to add to what we are
Yeah.
talking about.
Sir.
So, in my career, I've always kind of never tried to chase money.
Wow.
What I have tried to chase for myself is learning.
Mm.
If I find that at the end of 2 years, if I'm repeating myself, then I'm plateaued out on my learning curve and I'm unhappy. And I like to move. So whether it's, I move to a new market, new to a new industry, new to a move, type of function, but move.
Yeah, you mentioned many things like, how to move yourself very quickly. So one of the things, new projects, if you volunteer yourself for new projects within a company, you are again noticed by people. You lead that project, you get your team onto that project, make those changes, brainstorm with your team, think like a boss, and there you are home. You're much faster in these times to reach the top and get noticed actually.
Actually,
So-
to put it in another way, you got to learn to punish yourself and take the punishment.
Absolutely.
See, nothing
Volunteer
comes
and
easy. If you want to reach there on the top, you gotta कुछ देना पड़ता है ना,
बिल्कुल,
कुछ लेने के लिए. So what is the
absolutely.
dena? I mean, I don't know, in the current context, listen, the whole marketplace is wrecked. Your organizations are struggling, for survival. And you say, listen, I mean, now it's 5 o'clock and I need to go home. Are you mad? If I were you, I'd think 24 hours a day. I'd go home, I'd kind of work for at least 16, 18 hours a day. It's like, it's your own business. So therefore, you got to punish yourself. You got to punish yourself in time-wise. You got to punish yourself by relocating. You got to punish yourself by putting yourself into discomfort to learn new skills and functions. Because if you're not prepared to do that, then forget it. You will not reach the top. Plain and simple.
Absolutely. One of our very esteemed panelists is writing that we need to trust our teams also in this period. And that's one thing. So be likable. Be likable as another skill which you need as a vital tip. People will like you. Why? Because you got the skills to handle them. You understand their pain area. You understand how to support, where to help them, engage them in discussion, brainstorm with them on possible solutions. And when you come out strongly by presenting these things, by looking and helping your team and presenting these things to go up, that you have a chance to get better noticeability with your management and with your boss. And that's the road to, or the right direction to phat.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The people management skills are critical. You got to create the team with you. You got to win their trust, because if you rise to the top, your span of control is bound to go up, and therefore, and the team under you should have confidence that you're the right person and you're trustworthy enough to take them to that new position. So if I may sum this whole thing up, Amitji, where does this kind of thing, where does it close?
Okay, I'm going to use our honorable Prime Minister's words out here a little bit, if I may. He said in all his 4-5 speeches, which have been, I'm sure everybody has been watching, and they were very reflective. So he said 5 things, and let's put everything into these 5 things now. He said reflect. One is reflect. So we've got to reflect on the situation we have on hand. We've got to reflect on what is changing for us. We've got to adapt to that. We've got to relearn, as some of our, on the chat box I'm reading, reflection and relearning is also one of the things. The second thing is reinvent, he said. So what do we reinvent on? So when we understand the new markets, the new assignments, the new technologies, so you've got to change yourself and reinvent to this new environment. Like you said in sales, you got to reinvent in changing how people can change from teaching their retailers on what applications to run and teach them, talk to your customers on webinars. Then you got to...
That's right. In a fast-changing environment, you need to kind of relearn, and you need to kind of, change and adapt, and you need to respond fast. Absolutely. Yes. Which brings me to the other thing, which means that you've got to be able to take some amount of risk.
Yes.
No, don't feel, that you're going to do the job. Agar galt ho gaya, to kya ho jayega? Arey, galt ho gaya, to you end up learning something. You got to kind of be, and that experience will teach you something. But if you don't take this thing, then you're likely that, more often than not, you will get killed anyway. So therefore, risk taking is to become part of your life. You can't rise to the top and play a completely secure game. That yes-manship, that chamchagiri, what people use, boss, that's dead.
Chaplusi is all dead now.
Yeah.
When you talk about risk, look at the age-old example of Thomas Alva Edison. How many times did he take the risk to invent the electric bulb? Some say he failed 10,000 times. But what he said was, I now know 10,000 times how not to do it. So he was yet ready to take another risk. He was yet ready to take another plunge, because he had his focus right, he had his objectives right, he had his goal in place. So he was looking at how to get there. What we were talking about.
I must add to that story.
Hmm.
I don't know if you know, but then Thomas Edison set up a very successful company, which is today called GE, General Electric. And the history of GE is emanates from Thomas Edison. And Thomas Edison, when he set up this company and was very successful, at the age of 57, there was a big fire in his factory, and 6 of his major units got burnt down. And here was Mr. Thomas Edison standing in front of the factory, seeing the fire, demolish his lifelong kind of, what he built. And he had a young son standing next to him. And his young son said, "Oh my God, Papa, we're going to now. What are we going to do? Our lives, our work is got destroyed in this one big fire." And guess what Thomas Edison said? He turned around and told his son, "Son, what is burnt is what we did wrong, and that's why all the wrong things that we did, and that's why we reached there, that has all got burnt down. Now I'm going to start afresh, and I'm going to have, I'm not going to do all those things that got burnt down." Okay.
Oh, so you are saying that what happened 2 months ago, what we were used to 2 months ago, is now all burnt down. So we got to relook at, and that is the third
Absolutely.
skill. That's the third skill our Prime Minister mentioned. Reboot yourself. Reboot yourself. Just like you reboot your computer and start with a new edition of the software in yourself. Similarly, you got to reboot yourself, but with संकल्प and संयम. ये दो वर्ड भी उन्होंने बहुत इस्तेमाल किया कि नया संकल्प रखिए और संयम के साथ आप आगे बढ़ते जाइए. Then we are home on the road to our फटाफट to the top. What
Okay,
do you
so I
think?
think, we on that note, we should kind of close this discussion.